morning, Chair and members of the Board of Governors. The purpose of the Executive Director's Report, I wanted to give you some background, is something that we have been doing for several years now at the Housing Commission level and wanted to make sure that we brought to the Board of Governors level. The purpose is to provide you with a brief overview of recent agency activities as they tie to the county's vision and the agency's strategic plan, which of course incorporate our Moving to Work initiatives. So everything that we do in some way or another ties back to our Moving to Work congressional designation, including our agency's culture of innovation is just who we are. "92% of the almost 11,000 families that we assist are covered by our Moving to Work designation. So that leaves 8% that are covered under programs that we call special purpose voucher programs. Most of those are for homeless assistance, so 8%. That would be, examples of that would be Continuum of Care grants through the Interagency Council on Homelessness, and also the Veterans Affairs Supportive Housing, also known as VASH, Affordable Housing for Homeless Veterans. HUD has proposed several months ago a new annual contributions contract. So our agency has two contracts with HUD. Traditional public housing authorities have what's called an annual contributions contract. It's our contract with HUD. Because of our Moving to Work designation, we have a second contract, we're lucky, and that's our Moving to Work agreement with HUD. So HUD proposed a new annual contributions contract and new MTW contract, or amendments to those contracts, after extensive review from our industry partners. From their legal review, it has been determined that these amendments have negative impacts to housing authorities. So I'll give you some examples of what those are. The main one is that it changes the contractual relationship to a grant agreement. So it's no longer really a contract, it's a grant, and HUD can place whatever restrictions, rules that they want without any agreement from the housing authorities. So examples would be they are proposing to have expanded HUD requirements, but there was no clear definition of what those would be. They want unrestricted access to the housing authority's records, including records. This would expand to vendors, agents, and independent contractors. This grants HUD unrestricted authority to terminate, recapture, withhold, suspend. Keyword here is reduce or take any other action regarding a housing authority's grant funding. So that could be done without any approval or review from housing authorities. And this would be in addition to any congressional funding budget cuts. It also obligates housing authorities to comply with an expanded conflict of interest policy for board members. So that's just some examples of the items. Congress has become involved in favor of Moving to Work housing authorities. The 4 housing authority industry groups have jointly drafted and are working with certain congressional members proposed legislative language for the House and Senate appropriators for inclusion in the 2020 appropriations legislation for HUD. So we do have some support on the Hill to housing authorities, specifically Moving to Work housing authorities.
Relative to the unrestricted expanded HUD requirements, would you be so kind as to look into what are conflicts we can run into that are unforeseen consequences? Due to this, HUD has a habit of coming back later and saying, we're going to dock you, we're going to penalize you for this, that, and the other because you did X, Y, and Z, and we did it either thinking that it was permitted or it had been relayed to us that it was permitted, and then at some point it wasn't and nobody told us. I would really like to ensure that we have clarity as to our parameters so that we can try to avoid as many pitfalls or consequences as possible.
Thank you. And that's one of the issues that housing authorities and industry groups have with the language, is that it's very broad and doesn't include much detail. So the language was unrestricted access to PHA records is an example, or there will be a new definition of HUD requirements. And so that's the extent of the detail that's included in the amendment. But again, we will continue to follow it. Our industry groups have been doing a great job also with their legal teams following it. I would say the industry group that's taking the lead is the Council of Large Public Housing Authorities, and I'm actually on their board.
I hear from the top down, from the governor who came out and talked to us, from everybody else, we need to get affordable housing. What I'm hearing is we can't get affordable housing because all the rules and bureaucracies in place to get affordable housing. So if we're not advocating for solutions for those, we don't understand what those impairments are for affordable housing, then we can't even go work with people we may have our contacts with as political figures to hopefully advocate for changes to some of those rules and bureaucracies to use those dollars or to use their income to help. And so I think just a general knowledge, I would love to dig my teeth into it because there's resources out there, not enough resources yet, but the governor put in a bunch of money as well, and him telling straight up that I want to see options. You know, why can't we have a dormitory type of thing, you know, as a first stage, so we can house a lot of people, or can we do tiny homes, or, you know, I just don't know what the rules are. And so I don't know if that should be done one-on-one or that's something that should be done in a public meeting for the housing authority. I don't know what the comfort level of my colleagues are for that, but just, you know, these are the funds and where they come from. These are the rules attached. This is why we can't do it that way. And is there a path to go advocate for something different? But I've seen these things for like, they call it 3D printing houses now. That's literally a machine that goes out and they can make a house in one day. That's a 1-bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, and a living room for like $15,000. Our mission is to get as many people housed for a little amount of money as possible and give them a chance to get their life back under control. So if I can understand why we can't do certain of those things, and we have land, and we have a lot of land,